during the time of 1812, a lot of our villages in this area had been disrupted, so we were in various stages of being moved from our original villages and trying to find another area where we could settle in before we were during the time of 1812, pretty much all of our villages have been visited by the Courier du Bois and the voyagers that were bringing in the products for the couriers to bring into our villages. So you start to see a transition from natural animal materials to a blend of natural animal materials, and then colonial style wools, India ink block pattern shirts that were being brought in old patterns and sometimes traded as shirts. So if you look at the clothing that I'm wearing today, I'm still clinging on to my traditions. So I'm wearing my deerskin leggings. They're trimmed in deer tail, which has been dyed in a natural earth dye. They are in grass cones, so that shows that I've had that contact with traders. And what normally would have been in moose hair embroidery or quill work is now being replaced by glass beads, which also shows that those traders have come into our area, and we are starting to pull in those new materials. Moccasins are still done out of elk, but now we are incorporating the trade wool, sometimes from blanket, sometimes from jacket stock that was being sold and traded into our areas. So now my moccasins are lined with wool, kind of gives them a little extra warmth in the wintertime. So you can start to see a transition between the traditional leather wear, and also you can see the adaptation of 1812 style in the trade shirt. Our trade shirts were not tucked in; they were left long. They hung over our breech clouts. Here again, normally this would have been out of deerskin. Now it's out of a piece of bright colored trade wool. Colors were very important to us, and our dyes would only give earth tones, so they wouldn't be the bright mustard yellows or the bright reds. They'd be more earth tones. Our colors for dyeing red was used from a plant that grows in this area called bloodroot. Depending on the mordant that you would add with the bloodroot, it would either give you a dull orange color or kind of a deep, more like a cardinal red, but those colors would fade. So the colors that were coming out from Europe in the forms of wool, they sustained their colors, they sustained their integrity, and they were very much sought after by our peoples. One of the things that most people don't realize is that we went from stone and self-provision of our villages to a dependency upon these items. And once we left that stone behind, once we left those ways of the bow behind, and we picked up the gun and we picked up the pot and the pan, we then became dependent upon the colonial peoples, upon those white foreigners, the Chamonix, which means in our words, Chamonix means the white strangers. So just in a short amount of time, we went from independency to dependency, to the point where our children would not even be able to recognize what it would be like to actually survive without those things. We dress within the cycle of the earth. So the next bit of clothing that would have been worn would have been after the first frost, which would have been a yoke, which is an oval style shaped piece of leather that went over the shoulders. That was only allowed to be worn after first frost, and then the leggings could be worn also at that time. So we dressed seasonally, I guess you could say. There were always questions about the clothing of our women. Within our societies and our beliefs, it was not considered good taste to show the leg. So our women wore wrap skirts with leggings much like ours, but just tied at the knee and folded down. but there was no sin in not having anything from the waist up. So it was only until the Jesuits came and said that that wasn't allowed around them, that they needed to cover those things up. So that was when the wrap skirts made from deerskin started to turn into strap dresses. That was more of a colonial adaptation because they saw sin in that. We didn't have sin in our village. We didn't know what that word was. And so we clung to the traditions that we were familiar with.
What about your hair and jewelry?
Okay, what I'm wearing in the top of my head is called a feathered skewer. And that feathered skewer, this one is actually made from sandhill crane. And then there is a piece of deer rib bone that has been serrated as the skewer, and then these feathers have been wrapped around it. This hair piece is a significance that I have entered into the Warrior Society, and that I am no longer considered a young child or a young boy, and that I'm an active part of the Warrior Society. So feathers were allowed to be adorned that way, and also the piercings in the ears. Our youth were not allowed to pierce their ears until they entered into the Warrior Society, and then after they became part of the Warrior Society, and a ceremony was held for them, that they were no longer a child, but they were a young man, they were allowed to pierce their ears for the first time. The same thing within the Women's Lodge. The young girls were not allowed to wear any types of piercings at all until they went through the training within the Women's Lodge. Now, the Warrior Society is not a place where you went to learn warfare. It was like a men's club. It was a place where these young boys would learn how to treat young ladies with respect, how to go to the elders in a proper way to ask questions to gain knowledge. It taught them the skills of hunting, how to make bows, how to make arrows, how to protect the villages, and how to properly help raise and be an active part of the community through the clan system.
What age were your boys?
There was not a set age. It wasn't like this young man is 7 years old, so all 7-year-olds go to it was a maturity thing. So you might see a 6-year-old enter into the Warrior Society, because as we say, this young man, he's got an old soul. You can tell he's ready for that. And there might be a 12-year-old who is not quite ready for it. So the elders, they're the ones to watch this, and the other men within the Warrior Society, they watch this, and they can see the maturity and the growth. And one of the things about this change is once those young men and those young girls come out with their ears pierced, let's just say you have a young boy who completes all of his training, he's at the age of 13, he no longer can play with his 13-year-old friends that have not entered into the Warrior Society, because at that point in the time in his life, he is now considered part of the men's society. He's considered a man within our village. He's allowed to sit and attend councils, and if he feels comfortable to, and generally they don't at that age, he's even allowed to speak up and to share his voice or his opinion, because he's gone through the society changes. Same way with the young girls. Once they enter into that woman's lodge, their ears are pierced. They're no longer allowed to play with any of the other children. They are now considered young ladies. The significance of those two things that show up in our villages, maybe old Sarah over here just got her ears pierced, she come out as a nice, beautiful looking young lady, and before she entered, she was a little girl. And you see Matthew Blackwell over here, he just went through the men's society. And now they're starting to have eyes for each other. And that was horrible then, because there were special ways of doing that thing, but they were both considered young men and a young woman now. And so those attentions could be looked upon for a life partner at that point in time.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.